my vision just went. I got my first MAB volunteer then, and she helped me with my graduate work, turning my reading materials into large print. I always thought that Harvard should have given her a degree too. By then I was using a cane and had a hard time finding a job. I was dressing appropriately, a shirt and tie, and I didn't drool when I talked, but I had the cane. I had a Harvard degree, had all the experience, but people couldn't get past the blindness. Finally, I got an interview with this little guy who was very quiet but smart as a whip. He hired me. And I remember he told me, I have a son who is blind. He's tried to get a job, but all people can see is his blindness. He tries to get people to look beyond his blindness to see who he is. I know what he can do, and I see what you can do. I worked for state government for 30 years and retired last November, the head of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Labor.
My kidney failed at the same time that I lost my sight. After my transplant, I was feeling so much better, and I wanted to find a job. The director of a school in Jamaica Plain told my husband he was looking to hire a reading teacher. And I said to myself, a reading teacher? This should be interesting. So I went in and interviewed, and he hired me on the spot. And I said, I don't know if I can do this job. And he said, I think you can do this job. So I would follow along in Braille while the child was reading out loud, and it was fine. But the really fun part, the place I had more fun was with the kids who tried to pull things on the blind teacher. Oh my goodness, they could be naughty. One day, I was working with a little boy, and I was darn sure he had something in his mouth. I kept smelling chocolate, so I finally said, Johnny, what have you got in your mouth? He says, nothing. And I said, you'd better stop eating that chocolate until after the lesson. Well, when he left, there was one of his friends out in the hall waiting to come in, and he said to him, she's something. She knew I was eating chocolate, and she can't even see. That was great.
I was 76 years old when I lost my vision. And the first thing I did was to call hospitals to try and get a volunteer job, just to do something, because I was going out of my mind. I would be interviewed in depth, and at the end of the conversation, I would say, I think I should tell you that I'm legally blind, and I would never hear from them again. But I finally got a job at MAB, running a support group for people who are losing their vision. I just love it. My volunteer helps me write up the agenda, but let me tell you, I'm still the boss.
2 months after the accident, I was going skiing every weekend. I felt I could do anything, so I did. I sold insurance and was a community organizer. I managed a theater and worked as a business consultant. And then I was recruited to lead the National Braille Press, which I did for more than 32 years. My team and I transformed the press from a simple Braille job shop into the leading Braille publishing house in the country.
I started volunteering because I lived near a school for the blind when I was a kid. And the head of the school, you see, he could tell you the best place in the pond to catch the fish and even identify them for you, even though he was blind. See, I still don't know how he did this, but that stayed with me.
The woman I volunteered for was a real leader in the community, and I helped her do that. And I was right up there with her, talking computer and her seeing our dogs. It's great to be a part of a support system that can do absolutely everything but see. I just let her in my eyes for a while so she can live the life she wants to live.
Listen, I've heard every excuse in my business, and my answer is, before you start feeling sorry for yourself, go out and do something for someone else. Forget about your own problems. Volunteer for someone who had to overcome real challenges. It gives you a perspective on your life.
Volunteering for MAB is a huge part of my life. Really, I get more out of it than they do. I'm 81 years old. When I look back at what I've done in my life, this is one of the things I'm most proud of. It's the most important thing I do.